This is a hard conversation for me to have because I really don't want to put other trans people into a vulnerable position, and I don't feel great about that. But what I will say is the thing that wins the war for us is visibility, because a lot of us, like most trans people in this country, are the first trans person that other people know. And it's really sad to say, but a lot of us are the sole representation to other people of what trans people are like. And so we're building our own allies, or to a degree enemies, every day, depending on our interactions with people, which is a lot of pressure, obviously.
Mhm.
But it also means that there's a lot of people in our country who have never knowingly met a trans person before. They've never met an open trans person before.
Or if they did, they were just oblivious, like a lot of people who meet me and just assume I'm a masculine woman.
Yeah. But they do have trans people in their lives, whether or not they know that. And us being just normal, everyday people who are out as trans and visible as trans, depending on where we live, can be an unsafe situation. But that's also the biggest opportunity for us to make a difference and to make allies, is just being a normal person existing in the world and also being trans, And with the new administration, and all of the anti-trans executive orders and everything that are coming out, we're in a place where we're gonna basically have the choice between putting ourselves in a really unsafe situation or disobeying laws or executive orders or what have you. It's going to be a lot of passive resistance, essentially. And all of those random cis people out there are going to be really important for our survival and existence. When we just have to go to a public restroom, like,
Yeah, it's really easy to dehumanize an entire group of people if you've never actually knowingly met someone in that group and had a conversation with them on a human level.
yes.
Yeah, very easily. Because like, I remember, geez, so American Legion has their own podcast, and they actually had one of the someone who was in the army. She was out immediately when Don't Ask, Don't Tell was abolished. I think she was an officer. Instantly came out. Has been a big advocate. I just feel bad I can't remember her name right now. But the biggest thing was when she was talking to a bunch of people, some of them were even, like, very homophobic, where it's like, "Oh, you're just like everyone else. You're just another person going through this same bullcrap that, like, we all go through." And it's with those moments are the most important of when they figure out, "Oh, they're just people." And I think those are gonna be the big moments for us, even if it's not in our immediate space, it's just having those allies to combat the dehumanization.
Hmm.
It won't always work. Some people will never, ever see us as people, but some will. But you never know till you try. And just try to always have an escape plan.
Yeah, exactly. And I work at a coffee shop and I see hundreds of people every day, which can be really stressful. But I have relationships with a lot of those customers. And like I said, a lot of them, I'm one of the few trans people that are being represented in their lives. And a lot of them, I don't know what their politics are, but they are super friendly with me. And some have told me I'm their favorite person working there. And I feel like that goes a long way because it humanizes us. And there's a lot of different statistics, but we're roughly 1% of the population getting a large percent of the attention from the new administration. And it's easy for people to get away with things when they don't know anybody in the group that things are being done to. But once they get to know us to any degree, um, a lot of them are gonna be like, "Well, every trans person I know is, like, very kind to me and, like, very normal and not a threat to anybody."
It's sad because, like, I've seen that with, like, people with, like, different religious or ethnic backgrounds with the military because it's such a big melting pot that, like, I've seen some kids from the backwoods of the backwoods who's never met another person of color, and it was those experiences that kinda pull them out of, like, that old rhetoric of hate. So I feel like visibility is great, but I feel like you have to be confident in your safety to make sure that you're gonna be out and very proud, which for some folks I get. And then you got me who's just super stubborn and I'll just knock someone out if they're rude.
I won't knock someone out, but like I'm not gonna go in the closet for anyone. But I'm also not judging anyone who at this time feels like that's the safest place to be because the closet exists for a
Mhm.
reason. And if you're in a situation, a context, a location, a family situation where that's your only choice, like I don't blame you, but if you need support, come let me know, and I will call you whatever name you want in privacy and not out you to your broader community. But like, if you just need a little place, just a little place to be you, let me know. Like, but do it safety first. But if you feel safe being visible, I think is so important right now.
Yeah. But also a lot of these areas where it's like where we see it as like the most unsafe areas to be out in. Like there are a lot of other trans people there living nearby you. Like it's not that there aren't a lot of trans people, it's that it's not necessarily safe to be out. But the problem is that like compounds itself over time. And so like you're living in an area where there's no out trans people, but there's just as many trans people. And every person who's not trans there is like, well, I don't know any trans people, but they do.
Or they're right next door, but they've never seen them.
Hmm.
Yeah, the saying, "I don't know any trans people," is usually because they don't feel like you're a safe person to be out to.
Exactly.
And we have pretty good, I don't know, sniffers. Like, it's pretty easy to suss out who isn't safe. I'm very anxious about my next round of teaching seventh graders on field trips and fifth graders. I teach both because, like, there are always chaperones and there's parents there. And I was, like, talking to Matt, my bestie boss, about it. And he was like, I was like, maybe if I just don't say my name, like, I can fly under the radar. And he was like, don't change anything
Yeah.
about what you've been doing. Just be you and don't be ashamed of it. And if anyone gives you a hard time, I will fight them because I love fighting when I know I'm right. And I was like, okay.
And that's the thing is, like, we need the allies in our, like, day-to-day lives to make sure that, like, if anything happens, they have our back.
If it weren't for that though, I think I'd have already quit before
Hmm.
it even started. And like that's not a good place to be right now. We need cuz I know for a fact there have been at least 10 little trans kids that have come through my field trip and have told me that I'm the first time they've seen in real life that they have a future. And like I do not want any other kids in that situation to miss out on seeing that they have a future. And like the more people that are visible, the more little baby trans kids and just generally queer kids are going to see, like, someday when I grow up, I'll be on my own and I can be who I was always supposed to be. Even if I can't right now, someday I will be able to be me. And I want them to know that.
A lot of the reason that I came out when I did, which was pretty late in life, was because of the trans kids who were like specifically in Florida and a lot of other areas where there were politicians doing a lot of anti-trans, specifically anti-trans child things. And I was like, all of these kids in these unsafe environments are still being out and being themselves, and I'm in like a pretty relatively safe environment. And I'm still in the closet because like I don't blame myself. Like there's plenty of like trauma-based reasons essentially that I was still closeted in my 30s. But like I feel at this point like I owe it to people.
I get
I mean,
that.
selfishly, I'm glad you came out because we have become so much closer.
Mhm.
And it has been so important to me.
And you're like one of my few like in person like trans friends. Like we have trans friends online, which like we love. They're really good friends, but you're one of the only that I have like in person.
That you can hug.
Exactly.
Hug your local trans people with consent.
And being out, and especially in like an unsafe area, is scary, but it puts you in the position to be that person for somebody else.
And oh, do our trans kids need that right now?
Mhm.
I mean, we need that. Us trans adults need that too, but I cannot imagine what it is like to be a minor, like relying on parents to survive and knowing that you're queer, but not feeling like you can be yourself. I can't imagine. Makes me glad I didn't know yet when I was a minor, because I don't know how I would have made it.
Yeah. Unfortunately for me, I knew very early, and it's good to know yourself. Don't get me wrong, but I don't wish that upon anybody. It's a hard life.
Should we cheer up the situation? What can we talk about that's happy?
Right.
Boobs? Boobs are fun.
It's always boobs with you.
Or butts.
Or butts.
Not like my spouse.
I like sets of 2 fleshy round things.
Mhm.
They're the best things.
Yeah.
You could put your hands on them, then they're good. But only with consent. But I did touch my husband's butt earlier. I smacked his butt.
Nice.
I almost cried again. Talking about how much I love Robin. I'm always crying over lesbians over here.